Hi, my name is Gabby and my mother language is Arabic, and the word I have selected is Habibti, because that's the word that when you use it, everybody smiles.
Hi, I'm Neeraj and I'm from India. I've come to the UK. This is my first time in UK and I've come here to study my master's course in human resource management. My mother tongue is Kannada, which is a language in India, in the southern part of India. And ನನಗೆ ಮಸಾಲೆ ದೋಸೆ ಅಂದರೆ ತುಂಬ ಇಷ್ಟ. ನನಗೆ ಅಡುಗೆ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಅದೊಂದೇ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬರೋದು. So this is me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Martin Gordon. I'm from the Volta region of Ghana and I speak Ewe, Lolo, Kadi, Agbe.
On 21st February, the whole world will celebrate International Mother Language Day to recognize the contribution of Bengali for their mother tongue. The movement happened back in 1952, 21st February. But the history goes long before that movement. Language is something that creates our identity. Language is the most important creation of human being, not only for communication, but social integration, development, education, social assimilation, and strategic position of human being in this world. So back in 1947, after 200 years of British ruling, when British left Indian subcontinent, the Dominion of Pakistan created East and West Pakistan. The East Pakistan was 1,200 miles away from West Pakistan, a kind of geographically discontinued area. Predominantly Muslim population, however, irrespective of religion, everybody spoke Bengali as their mother tongue. But the British and as well as the Pakistani ruler, they had a different plan. And the Pakistani ruler took that very seriously and declared that Urdu and English should be the only state language in East Bengal or East Pakistan in that time. This is not only suppression on language or culture, this is suppression on identity. So immediately this protest started in 1952. However, back in 1947, after the Dominion was created, Rashtra Bhasha Sangram Parishad or National Language Action Committee was created towards the end of 1947. In 1952, when the declaration came that Urdu and English should be state language of Pakistan, entire Pakistan, East and West, the students from Dhaka University, Medical College, everybody came to the road and protested. And they were brutally oppressed by military police. Pakistani ruling party took drastic measure to oppress them, and people were killed for their mother tongue. Salam, Barkat, Rafiq, Shafiq, Jabbar, we remember them. And now International Mother Language Day to celebrate that dedication coming from the Bengali movement. This movement is very important in the global context, even now becoming much more important, I would say, because of the technological advancement. There are so many languages in the world, almost 43% languages, like more than 6,000 languages are endangered. Every 2 weeks, one language will be abolished from this world. If we consider different dialects of language, then it would be counted in minutes that we are losing. So to create and inspire other oppressed languages in the world, this 21st February International Mother Language Day is so critical, because now we can identify and see the multilingualism, multiculturalism, and the diversity of language is the best way to go for human being to offer the humanity with prosperous social integration, communication, and identifying our own root or culture. Bangladesh, independent country now, and Bangladesh is the core value holder of Bengali language movement. Bangladesh will be remembered as long as human being will celebrate International Mother Language Day for their contribution, their dedication, their blood that was shed by the oppressive party, oppressive ruler in that time. We remember those who dedicated their most valuable asset in this world, the human lives.
Hi, this is Usman. I'm from Pakistan. ले दे के फ़कत अपने पास एक नज़र ही तो है, क्यों देखें इस जहां को किसी और की नज़र से.
My country is Puerto Rico and my mother language is Spanish. El lenguaje me trae vida, expresa mi amor y refleja la luz de mi vida.
Hi, I'm Michela and I'm from Italy and my mother language is Italian. Con le buone maniere si ottiene tutto!
The language movement in 1952 can be analyzed from the perspectives of right to cultural identity and the ultimate exercise of right to self-determination. As we know, in 1948, the United Nations Organization proclaimed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, or as we all know it, the UDHR. The UDHR spells out basic human rights available to each and every human being born in this planet. Now, in 1948, when the West Pakistani regime declared that the state language in East Pakistan or Bengal would be only Urdu, that ultimately affected the right to cultural identity and the cultural rights of the people who self-determined or identified themselves as Bengali or Bangali. Now, when we talk about human rights, generally people seem to think that only civil and political rights are the most important human rights. For example, right to vote, right to political free will, right to movement, freedom of assembly, freedom of information, and as such. But what we don't realize is that economic, social, and cultural rights are as important and as basic human rights as are civil and political rights. Now, right to cultural identity is part of the wider spectrum of cultural rights. And cultural rights mean that a human being, in order to flourish their optimum level of potentials, must be allowed to exercise and practice their culture, must be allowed to express their emotions and express their feelings in the language and culture that they most identify with. Now, when the West Pakistani regime suppressed the language, then the people of East Pakistan or East Bengal demanded their right to culture. And this right to culture is not simply a part of the cultural rights, rather it also spells down to what we can call the political right of self-determination. Self-determination means a group or a community has the right to decide how they want to identify and how they want to express their political will. Now, self-determination has two aspects. One is the external self-determination and the other is known as the internal self-determination. So internal self-determination means a particular group of people or even the entire population of a country can demand certain rights from their own government. So, starting from 1948 and culminating in 1952, when the people of East Pakistan demanded the right to have their own mother tongue as one of the official and state languages of Pakistan, which had two wings, it fell under the spectrum of human rights. And by denying the people of East Pakistan to have their own mother language as one of the official languages, Pakistan was basically violating the covenants under UDHR, of which Pakistan was a state party at that time.
Hi, my name is Karin and my mother language is Spanish. I chose to say más vale tarde que nunca, which means better late than never. I need a place for your assignments as well.
Hi, my name is Tamara and I come from Serbia. The language we speak there is called Serbian, and the message I like to send on my language is uvek verujte u sebe, nikada ne odustajte i sve što zamislite možete da ostvarite.
Hello, my name is Zamir Mera. I am from Albania. My mother's language is Albanian. Unë ndjem shumë krenar që kam ardhur në Londër, në Angli, dhe shpresoj që ardhmja ime të jetë plot surpriza dhe unë të bëj krenar prindërit e mi.
Mother languages are all different, and I don't know how many languages are spoken by students and staff at the University of Roehampton, but I would assume that it will be well over 100, and this is enough reason to celebrate International Mother Language Day. We speak all these different languages because languages are all sign systems which developed between 50 and 150,000 years ago, but they developed into different sign systems, and therefore we've got between 6,000 and 7,000 languages worldwide today. There are only about 200 nation states in the world, and therefore multilingualism is absolutely the norm. And we know that, for example, in London, there are over 370 languages spoken by school children in London. So multilingualism worldwide is the norm, and of course London and Roehampton University in London are highly multilingual environments. Why is it so important to cultivate and look after our mother languages? Maybe you can tell that English is also not my first language. My first language is Austrian German, and I'm also a speaker of a subdialect, which is Bavarian. And I'm very proud of being a speaker, not just of a minor variety of German, Austrian German, but also being a dialect speaker, because my identity is very strongly linked to this, because I learned, for example, the dialect from my grandmother. And of course then at university I used Austrian German, and depending on who I speak to, I can use different varieties of my first languages, and dialects and standard variety, but I can also use English. And this gives me a lot of opportunities to communicate with a lot of different people, but it also gives me the opportunity to express my own identity and my own background. Why is it so important to keep one's mother language? It is very, very important that children get educated in their first language or mother tongue, because research has shown that a good foundation in one's first language or mother language allows one to build on that as a foundation to acquire other languages and to gain competence in other languages. Maintaining, acquiring one's mother language and then maintaining it in the school environment is very crucial, because if children cannot be taught in their mother language in school, they are in danger of losing that language. We call this language shift, and language shift to majority languages, our national languages of education, is widespread throughout the world. The right to mother tongue education, however, is part of the United Nations International Mother Language Day, and every child on this planet should have the right to mother tongue education and the opportunity to learn or acquire other languages later in life. What is particularly important for me as a linguist is that the foundation, the linguistic foundation one can acquire in one's mother tongue, is the foundations for all the other languages. And if the right to mother tongue education is denied to children, then they are being put to a disadvantage which can continue much later into their life. And this is why mother tongue education is important, and why the International Mother Language Day should be celebrated, and why mother tongue education is one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
Hello, my name is Vic and I'm from Turkey. I speak Turkish. Merhaba Londra, ben Ankara'dan geliyorum. Öğretmenlerim ve arkadaşlarımla Londra'da eğitim aldığım için çok mutluyum.
Hi, my name is Fahad Ahmed and I'm in my second year of business school. I'm from Afghanistan and my mother language is Dari. قصايد الخيمة قبلية.
Hi, I'm Nicole. Amor, luz e vida.
My name is Margaret Ajay. I'm one of the visiting lecturers at Roehampton University. Originally from Ghana, born and bred in Ghana, came here quite young. I do have a language. I do speak one of the Ghanaian languages. I wouldn't say brilliantly, but I do. And this video is being made in recognition of International Mother Language Day, which is fantastic, and also recognizes people like us who obviously have got different languages that we bring to everything that we do. One of the things that I'm very passionate about is making sure, as a mother, but also as an educator, that people who come from different parts of the world do not lose sight of their language, because once a child starts to speak in their language at a very, very early age, it makes a lot of things easier for them going forward. So I do take pride and I do congratulate mothers who do not lose sight of their language or their languages, and make sure that that's actually bred into their children at a very early age. For me, it is the foundation of success as a mother. But as a teacher, one of the things that I'm fully aware of is that in the classroom you've got a great diversity of people from different cultures and traditions. They speak different languages as well. And it's really important as a teacher to recognize that, to value that, and most importantly to respect that. And so for me, there is something about using my whole being to listen to people, making sure that I give everyone a chance to say what's on their mind, including them as much as possible in discussion, embracing their difference, because I think it takes a lot of courage for that rich diversity in class, or a group of students who do not speak English as a first language, to actually come out and communicate with us as teachers, and to communicate with their colleagues. And so it's really important that we give space and opportunity to them to speak, and also listen wholeheartedly. Once you've listened, you can understand where they're coming from. I also recognize that sometimes when you are well versed in the language, for example the English language, it's a lot easier to be, what's the word for it, to think why, or to ask why someone in your class doesn't speak like you or behave like you. One thing we've got to recognize is that we're all very, very, very different. And we need to learn to embrace that rich diversity and give people a chance to confidently, but also patiently say what they want to say. And you listen without making any jokes, without actually undermining, but respecting the fact that it's taken a lot of courage for that person to open up and say something. There is also something important about allowing the person to come to you and say, look, I can't. It's difficult for me. And then you saying, what can I do to help, to make it easier? So I think all of us collectively, teachers, colleagues, students, everyone, need to recognize some of these difficulties that are faced by people who do not speak English, and for whom English is not a first language, and provide the space and the opportunity for them to feel confident, to feel able to say, I'm concerned, I cannot, I'm struggling. and you supporting them. There is also something about allowing a lot of these students to maybe educate us as well, because they can tell us things that, or they can tell us how our behaviors and the things that we say impact on them. And then we can also create changes in how we treat them or speak to them as well. I think borderline is that diversity is something that we're going to be living with for the rest of our lives. Diversity is everywhere, globalization is everywhere, migration is everywhere, and people are definitely different, and we need to find a way to embrace that difference, value and respect that difference, work with it, but also create a culture where people don't feel undermined, excluded, and don't feel that they cannot say things because they do not speak our language.
Hi, I'm Nafisa. I'm from Bangladesh. I'm going to sing a song in my language. Amar bhaiyer rakte rangano 21 February আমি কি ভুলিতে পারি ছেলে হারা শত মায়ের অশ্রু গড়ানো ফেব্রুয়ারি আমি কি ভুলিতে পারি